My involvement in work like the Bountiful Children Foundation comes from the fact that I was born during the Great Depression and grew up in a family that was very poor. I know what it's like not to have enough food on the table. I know what it's like to have parents who are doing everything they can, working every job, trying to make extra money to feed their family and to keep things together. So having grown up in that environment and realizing that the people who are most motivated to take care of their children are the people who have borne those children and who love them. And I just grew up knowing that part of my life was to respond to people who are in a situation that is different than mine. And at age 10, I learned about Jesus and about the gospel. And nothing defines me more than the fact that I am a Christian. So when I read Dr. Brad Walker's article about the work that he was interested in doing with malnourished children, I immediately responded to that. I called him and said, I want to be part of this. I called him and I said, I have a foundation, and let's take that foundation and make it a nonprofit foundation that we can use for the work that we're doing. And so that really began my involvement in it. I was one of the co-founders of the foundation. And we started out with one congregation in Central America, and now we're in 200 congregations in 17 countries, from Mongolia to Madagascar. And it's been, of the many things that I've been involved in my life, it's been certainly one of the most meaningful and the most joyful. Especially the most joyful thing is meeting these very sweet children who simply do not have enough to eat or the right kinds of nutrition, and whose minds and bodies and spirits suffer because of that. To handle these children, that is to touch them, to weigh them, to tickle them, to measure their height, to interact with them and their parents. You can't look into the face of a child like that without your heart being touched and your life being changed. It's really interesting that before we went to Madagascar, I was working on an article that I was writing on another subject. And for that, I wanted to find out what Jesus meant when in the 25th chapter of Matthew, he speaks about the least of these. And so I have a number of different translations of the Bible, and I was looking at them, trying to say what was closest to what Jesus was saying. And then it occurred to me that Jesus spoke Aramaic. So I went to an English translation of the Aramaic Bible. And in that, when you translate that, Jesus says, inasmuch as you've done this to one of these, my little brothers or my little sisters, you've done it unto me. And that really struck me, that I see these children as my children. I see these children as the children of God, as Jesus saying, suffer the little children to come unto me. And that was a moment in which I began to see these children, to see them, if this was Jesus' little brother or little sister, why wouldn't I do everything that I could to help them? Why? You can't look into the eyes of these children without seeing beauty, without seeing the humanity that they represent. I'm passionate about this because I've seen firsthand in Haiti and in Kiribati and in the Philippines and in Colombia and Guatemala and in Madagascar and other places. I see how much difference it makes for us to give a small amount to help these people. We do have people who give more than a small amount, and we're really blessed by people who are very generous, and even some foundations and some businesses that are. So everyone can do something. For less than $100, we can provide the nutritional needs for a child someplace in the world for an entire year. All of us spend money on things we don't need. Everyone that I know could save $100 a year to give to saving a child. And we have families who adopt congregations someplace in the developing world. We have people who are very generous in giving who may not have much, but they give it because they know this can save the life of a child. And so it's a situation in which anything you do would help.
We did 4 different screenings, and while they were in these long lines waiting, I was able to take photographs of the children, and they knew how to mime for me, and to also look with wide eyes and wonder, especially when I showed them the photograph back again. And it's that charm that I found that is not put on, it's just real and so childlike even in the adults that grabs me, and I want to help them. Gloria
was wonderful in the way that she was interacting with these parents, especially mothers. To most of the people who bring their children to be screened are mothers. And Gloria, who's mother of 6 children herself, really had this wonderful identification with these mothers, and they sought her out again because of the warmth and the generosity of her heart in helping their children.
And the imagination and the creativity that comes when these other countries can come to the fore. We have so much to learn from them. And the people, they were saying, don't look at us with pity, because we haven't the money. That is not our anguish. We want to be seen. They just want to live that kind of life, that they had something to give. But to be able to see the passion Bob has, to watch him handle these children, to watch them react to him, and to know that that connection is so real. I'm just really privileged to be part of that.
We are exclusively focused on malnutrition because we see it as so important. These children who grow up when their brains are developed and their bodies are capable of doing things, not only are they able to give back financially, but because they are fully developed, they are children whose minds and bodies and hearts and spirits are developed. They have a way to give wholeheartedly. They give something back from who they are as a human being, and we're all unique. And so, just as I feel that from people who've been generous with me, I feel an obligation to pay it forward, as they say, to bless other people, and that's something we can all do.